Birds in North America will no longer be named after people. The American Ornithological Society says they're renaming dozens of birds in an effort to eliminate ties to racism.
Our Cameron Thompson spoke with the new head of the organization, who grew up in Richmond, about why they're making these changes.
All right, there's one there, girl, guys.
Making his way
to the right
through Lars Park.
He just flew up off the ground.
Bill Lighty, or Pop Pop in this situation, puts his decades of bird watching to use with his eyes
that was
and ears.
Downy woodpecker, that little peep.
To teach his grandchildren about the feathered friends around them and the importance they serve.
When you look at birds, you realize they all have a very special contribution, a special niche to the environment.
But in the near future, the names of some of the birds that can be spotted in these woods.
Queenston's thrush would be one. The Wilson snipe was seen here fairly regularly.
Will undergo a change, as Wednesday, the American Ornithological Society announced it would change the names of all birds named after people that are found primarily in the U.S. and Canada.
Bird names mean something. And what we are really trying to do is to get away from talking about the history about people and getting people to talk about birds.
President-elect Sarah Morris, who partially grew up and spent summers in Richmond, says the sweeping decision comes after decades of case-by-case ones, including a few years ago where the now thick-billed longspur's previous name after a Confederate general was changed. While not every bird named for a person has connections like that, the Society says the old naming practices are clouded in racism and misogyny and could be exclusionary to people of color. They want to make the activity feel welcoming to all.
We need to get people thinking about birds. We have lost over 3 billion birds in the last 50 years. We need everyone we can engage.
Morris says the changes will impact between 70 to 80 birds and adds while they expect some people may be against the idea.
We also think that people will engage in the information the way that we're expecting it.
I applaud the effort.
For Lighty, who's served on the boards of several bird organizations, he is in the latter camp.
I'm a big fan of naming the birds after their markings and their coloration rather than after somebody who'd claimed to have seen it for the first time.
And echoes Morris about the need to bring in more people into the space and help to protect birds as a whole.
The reason we need to be concerned as a general population about the birds is that they really are the canary in the coal mine for the environment.
And Morris says a committee tasked with doing all of this will begin work in 2024 and adds there will be a public engagement process as well. In Richmond, Cameron Thompson, CBS 6 News.